Hey Houston, how's it going? K211 meteorologist Kim Castro. I'm going to walk you through this week's weather story, starting off with the most important. Texans training camp started today. It continues tomorrow, which is also a fan day. If you want to head out there, they're on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Your warning is that it's going to be pretty toasty. Already at 8 o'clock in the morning, 80 degrees. They start practice right at 9, and notice those temperatures are not holding back at all. By the time lunchtime rolls around, cloud cover starts to drop off, so the heat is going to start to kick up. It's going to feel even hotter than what it feels like outside right now. In case you're watching this live stream on your phone and you're walking, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is hot. High pressure is not just right on top of us, it is on top of a huge chunk of the country. What this means is that we have got dry sinking air aloft. Even at the surface there's high pressure, and so there is compressional heating. Like a pressure cooker, the more atmosphere that's stacked up on top of us because of this high pressure, the more those temperatures are going to climb. It also steers the jet stream to the north, so any chance for rain-cooled air, storms, that's well off into the Dakotas for today. There is a threat for severe weather from South Dakota all the way to Minnesota for this afternoon. We just have the heat to be talking about. But you'll notice Houston itself isn't under a heat advisory. We're just shy of that criteria. I know you're probably thinking, are you kidding me? It is already so hot enough. How are we not under a heat advisory? Well, we have very special requirements. We have to get to a feels like heat index value of 108 degrees. And we're going to be shy of that for today. Now, the spots that are under a heat advisory are going to be climbing up above that. For their particular state, there's a different requirement. I'll tell you for Louisiana, for example, the extreme heat warning is because of the heat index that gets between 113 to 115. So they know some real heat over there too, and they are experiencing it today. Same thing with Georgia into Florida. They've got that same extreme heat alert for today. Our feels like value this afternoon during the peak heating of the day is still really hot. I mean, we're going to get to that sensation of 104 degrees in Waller and Houston and Sugar Land. What is a feels like forecast or a heat index? Well, the thing about humidity that makes it so hot and frankly dangerous for the body is once we overheat, we sweat. That's our body's way of trying to release heat. Unfortunately, when there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, that sweat cannot evaporate. So if it stays stuck on your skin, that's why the feeling becomes so much hotter than what the actual air temperature reflects. And that's why, especially as these heat index values start climbing, it can become more and more dangerous to spend time outside. So the humidity plays a big factor into the summertime heat and the alerts and the warnings that come of them. You'll notice as we go into the 4 o'clock time frame, that's when we're going to hit our high temperature of 97 degrees as the actual air temperature. Actual air temperatures right now have already gotten into the low 90s. So we're at 91 degrees at IAH, 91 for Hobby Airport, Sugar Land 92. What does it feel like on your skin? Upper 90s for the airports, but Sugar Land 92 already feels like 103 degrees. In Conroe, 90 feels like 101. Galveston 91 feels like 102. Now let's look at the Neighborhood Weather Network. We'll track those actual temperatures in people's houses. We've got gauges all across Southeast Texas, which let us know in really good detail what it feels like for you. So Pine Sap Drive, Energy Corridor, it is 92 right now, in the low to mid 90s from the Katy Freeway all the way to the Heights. So Sea Spray Court's at 93, East 7th Street's at 95, Glen Cove Street, Rice Military in the low 90s. So as we see that high pressure heat dome parked over us, the rest of the month is going to be trending on a hotter note. I'd be willing to bet these next 3, maybe 4 days are going to be above average. So far, we've had 15 above average. We've had 9 days below average and 3 that have been normal. And I say normal because we've got a 30-year data sample, and that's the average temperature. Where we should be for this time of year is 95. So we got to 95 yesterday. I think today we're going to get closer to 97. Here's a live look outside. So we've got a pretty mixed shot across the area. So Galveston's got a bright blue sky, and then a couple of other camera shots, Herman Park, Hobby Airport, Galleria, show us nice blue sky, but also with some puffy cotton candy clouds like these. Those are mainly fair weather clouds, though there is a 20% chance for an isolated shower. I think not very many of us are going to get in on that rain, but if you do, you're lucky. Tomorrow, the cloud cover is going to drop off, so that's why temperatures are going to kick up even more than where we're at this afternoon. 100 degrees is what I've bumped up the forecast temperature to tomorrow. Wednesday, well, very close. I mean, we're splitting hairs. 99 to 100 degrees. It all feels the same. Here's your rain chance today. I think the best chance is going to be right around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when we see that sea breeze push in to the I-10 corridor, and with the peak heating of the day, that provides enough lift and instability to maybe bring you an isolated shower. But that's it. Notice tomorrow, not even clouds out there. So that limits the moisture potential a little bit more as we head into Wednesday, more cloud cover. And then eventually by Thursday, we'll match some of that cloud cover with a little incoming moisture from the Gulf. So I think coastal showers are going to be possible for us on Thursday. Here's a snapshot at the next 5 days. So this is a look at our models right around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Not showing very much for today, but I still think there's a small potential. That's why I'm putting it in there, so you're not caught off guard in case you do get to windshield action. You get a couple drops on there. For tomorrow, for Wednesday, nothing to track. On Thursday, I told you we could see a couple coastal showers, so that's the picture of what that's expected to look like. And then by Friday, that coastal activity starts to move inland. So I think that's when we could see a little bit more of a disruption from the rain. Today's rain is not that at all. High pressure eventually does start to break apart. So by Thursday, it starts weakening, kind of splits off into 2 sections, and this provides an opening. So when we have high pressure to our east, air flows clockwise around high pressure. So as we get the back end flow from that high pressure system, it pushes in air out of the southeast. And so that tracks in more Gulf moisture. Eventually that starts saturating the atmosphere. And when we've got more saturation, well, that tropical moisture brings us the potential of a couple of scattered storms. So that is going to increase those rain chances for us, not just through the end of July, but even into the start of the month of August. The outlook through the 7th shows we've got a higher likelihood of seeing above average rainfall. And that's actually a pretty good thing, because even though July was a pretty wet month, we ended up so far with about 4.25 inches. That's about an inch above where we normally would be for the month of July. That being said, we're still down about 2 inches all in all for the year. So additional rainfall is a good thing because, of course, we want to keep our drought levels nice and low. We're not in a drought right now, so that's good. Temperature-wise, though, you're not going to escape the heat, unfortunately. We are looking at above average temperatures for the desert Southwest into the Lone Star State, Florida, too. Cooler temperatures in case you're planning the last of your summer vacations. Well, the Great Lakes, the Northeast, that all looks good. Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. Those areas shouldn't be trending as hot as we go into the month of August, at least the start of it. We always give you a check at the tropics this time of year, and I'm really happy to report that so far, over the next 2 to 7 days, there's still a good, healthy dose of Saharan dust that's traveling through what's called the MDR. So this is the main development region. So this is where storm systems try to develop and try to intensify. Well, if there is a dusty, dry air mass that's aloft, it becomes harder for anything to form. So luckily we still have the help of Saharan dust, and we are not looking at any development, at least for the next week. How does this week look when we, factor in the rain and the temperatures all put together? Well, right now we're seeing the temperatures climbing as those rain chances start to drop off. As we start to see the high pressure system weaken a little bit and become split off, that's when we'll welcome back some more noticeable rain. 20% I don't think is anything to write home about, but 40%, that's something that might slow you down on your commute or might have you change your plans from outdoors to indoors. So we've got that 40% chance of some scattered storms both Friday, Saturday, and even into your Sunday. The good thing with that, of course, it does bring us a little relief from the heat, and I mean really little. Mid-90s is still pretty hot for this time of year, especially with the humidity. Okay, that is a look at your 7-day forecast. Be sure to catch our newscast at 4 o'clock with meteorologist Pat Kavlin, and then our chief meteorologist David Paul will walk you through the weather story at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. We'll see you there.